I want to bring in NBC News Chief Foreign Affairs Correspondent Richard Engel, who's in Jerusalem as we speak. Hi, Richard.
Hey, it's good to be with you. As always, a lot to talk about today.
I want to start, if we can, with this strike inside Qatar, which is, really a strike of this magnitude and the way in which they carry it out is unprecedented, isn't it?
It's unprecedented because it's in Qatar. Israel has carried out strikes in other countries against Hamas leaders. It did it in Iran, and Israel has carried out assassination attempts and assassinations in the United Arab Emirates, in Jordan. I'm going back a few years now, but those were more up close and personal. They had agents on the ground spraying poison, or in one case, posing as a sportsman and going into a hotel room and killing the person they were going after. So more cloak and dagger kind of operations. This was an airstrike in the middle of the day on a friendly country that is in the midst of trying to broker peace negotiations to stop the fighting in Gaza at the request of the United States. The U.S. has been pushing for these negotiations. So it's unprecedented in that context.
Do we have any sense if the people that were killed in this attack or targeted in this attack were a part of the delegation that were negotiating any type of ceasefire? At
this stage, I really can't say anything definitively about who was killed or who wasn't killed. I know who are the top Hamas leaders, and I know who are the top Hamas leaders who tended to be in that building and who may have been in the meeting, but there have been conflicting reports, and several Hamas sources are now coming out and saying that the top Hamas leaders survived, that it killed the son of one Hamas leader and an aide to another, but that the core leadership of Hamas in this office in Doha, in these apartments, a residential compound, that they survived. But I don't know if that's true or not. It's also important to understand why Hamas has an office in Doha. A lot of people might be listening and think, well, why the hell would Qatar allow Hamas to have an office there to begin with? It's the political wing, and according to many Qatari officials that I've been speaking to for years, it was at the U.S. request that Hamas be allowed to have a political office in Doha so that you could facilitate conversations with Hamas and diplomacy. You need to have some place to carry out negotiations, even with your enemy. And the people who were the first, or among the first to react to this, were the hostage families here in Israel, who were very distressed that this attack took place, because they were hopeful that through the Qatari mediation, through this diplomatic office of Hamas, that their loved ones could get out. But according to the Prime Minister Netanyahu, when this attack happened yesterday, a line had been crossed and he pushed the launch button.
We know, Richard, that Israel's already said they carried out this strike in Qatar unilaterally, and that they told the United States before they carried out this strike. Whether or not the United States condoned it, I think, is the question. So what do you think actually happened here?
So the way it's been described to U.S. officials, and this is according to reporting NBC is getting out of the Pentagon, is that Israel carried it out unilaterally, and that's what Israel says, but that they gave the U.S. a heads up. I don't know how much ahead of time, but it was described as not much of a heads up. And Qatar apparently does believe this. And that's a way for Israel to say, we did this, we own this, but gave the heads up to the U.S. because the U.S. would have noticed these incoming jets anyway.
Right.
And if a bunch of jets are flying in to a capital, there's a strong possibility the U.S. could have shot them down. So you would have had to alert some people, otherwise you can get into a firefight with your friends.
But Qatar is going a step further and saying that Israel sought to actually undermine the U.S. and Qatar's negotiations with Hamas, these ongoing ceasefire negotiations, and with the United States was looking for a response from Hamas so they could pause this war. So
there we're already seeing sort of Qatar's emerging position on this, that they're saying we were in the midst of these negotiations. President Trump has been insisting on these negotiations, and Qatar is saying Israel just slapped you in the face. That we were in the midst of talking, President Trump, you asked for these negotiations, we were trying to do it, and then you bombed the negotiators. There are people here who are saying this was a disingenuous negotiating process, and that the intention all along was to strike.
Why would, at this point, Qatar continue to act as a mediator, considering this has now happened? And or why would Hamas now agree to any type of ceasefire deal and the return of all the hostages, considering this most recent targeting?
Well, the incentive is Israeli troops are bearing down on Gaza City right now. I'm sure there are many people in the United States and elsewhere who believe that Israel is going to do this operation anyway, right? So if people think that negotiations can really happen and stop an escalation and potentially get the hostages out alive, then you push forward with the talks. If you believe that the talks are just a ruse and that maybe they were even a trap, that they were used to somehow, get all these people together so that they could be attacked, or that it was used as a cover, then you draw a different calculation. So all of this is being discussed right now, and I just spoke with a senior Qatari official, and obviously the mediation efforts today aren't going on, but he said that they're figuring out what to do. They're still looking at it to seeing if Qatar wants to stay in this role or not. I think there are a lot of people in Qatar who were shocked by what happened. They did not think that there would be an Israeli airstrike in downtown Doha in the midst of talk of reaching a ceasefire agreement. They didn't see it coming.
Richard Engel, thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.